All right, well, while they unpack, we'll go and get started and get right into our topic for the day. I appreciate you joining me. We are talking about the growth of Maryvale Prep going forward. So really excited to talk with you about this. It's something that I personally spent a good amount of time thinking about, working on, planning for, is the growth, the full growth of this school for kids. Some of you were there with me in that very first year before we even opened the school, and we talked about our mission, right? And I'm going to bring that back up here because really when we talk about curriculum, we talk about the teachers we hire, down to the policies that we implement, and absolutely talk about the growth of our facilities or our campuses. It's always grounded in what our mission is, what we're looking to accomplish together for these children. So as you know, we're here at Maryvale Prep, we prepare our students for college, a virtuous life, and leadership within the community. And we're keenly aware of the fact that the facilities that we have and the campuses that we build play an integral role in this process of helping students be ready for college, to have the intellectual and academic readiness, right? To be good, right? To lead a virtuous life, right? The way that we can interact, on a campus, in a space, has a big impact to that outcome. And of course, to be leaders, right? To be leaders within the community. We want opportunities as they exist within our campus. Who's on that campus, how students interact on that campus, all plays into that role. So it's important for us as we think about our history and where we're going, our growth, our future, that it's always grounded in our future. And that's why I'm going to take us for a little bit of a ride through the history of Maryvale Prep. That's why we made certain decisions that we did in light of our overall mission of graduating these great-hearted young men and women. So we're here on this campus, right? It's a small campus, and that's really to connect to the fact that we wanted to start Maryvale Prep as young and as small as we could. And so that was a driving force before we even went out and held events and started going out, knocking on doors and letting people know that we were coming, was we wanted to be as young and as small as we could. Because we know to do this well, right, not only do we need the right curriculum, the right processes as a school, but we wanted to have the right relationships. Right? We wanted to know each and every one of your students, your children. And I hope that's been your experience, and we've looked at our growth even from that first year very carefully so that we can continue to do that. So we know, right, the strengths, we know the challenges that are before the children, and we can help them navigate them and really to be at their best, to become the best versions of themselves, intellectually, academically, right, morally, as we do this work together. And so if we go through again our first 3 years, I'm going to tell you how we've made, again, campus-level decisions that have aligned to that mission and that understanding of the relationships that we're trying to build and that desire to know each and every student. So, some of us in the room, we've been there. Year one, right, 2012, we opened up, we were with just kindergarten through third grade, and again, 140 students, as young and as small as we could to facilitate that. Back in those days, we had 4 classrooms. We needed 5, we had 4. And so we actually came on, we found St. Paul Lutheran as part of a search while we wanted to be specifically in Maryvale. We wanted a space that, again, was small, that we could afford, that we could grow into, right, as we grew the school out. So St. Paul, had a school prior to us, had some of those facilities already, cafeteria, the sanctuary, which is our auditorium. It had some classrooms that we had to do a little bit of renovation on to make sure that they were ready for it. We actually started with five sections of students, and some of you might have been in that first group if they were second graders when they started. They actually were in that cafeteria space and kind of extended one of the halls of that area, and that's where second grade started. Well, the good news was after the first year, we had some success. Enough so that originally the plan was that we were going to add a modular somewhere, like in the middle of the dirt where we're currently standing or sitting right here. We were going to add a modular so we could just add fourth grade the next year. But in the first year, we had enough success in terms of enrollment, hitting our target goals. Financially, our books were sound. Academically, we already were showing some results, and we had some more just community support around this. And so we were able to actually, in the summer right after, some of you remember this, we built our first 4-classroom building. And that's currently where the main office is and the faculty break room and a couple other classrooms. It was originally just a four-classroom building. And that allowed us then to go to 8 classrooms at that point, K4 the following year. And so much of our growth has looked like this, by the way, and will continue to look like this. We've only added 1 grade level. And so all the current students moved up a grade level, and then really most of our enrollment is happening at that kindergarten level. And so we expanded that. We actually, that year, we expanded into 2 fourth grade sections. So if you recall that first group of third graders, and that started that process of us getting to 2 sections at every grade level, which we knew had some other benefits in terms of student relationships and opportunities. So that was an exciting year to know that we had that success level, that we had that support. Going in, we already were kind of building upon the land that we had entered into a relationship with. So after that second year, we actually started in that spring and summer. That's when we garnered some more support from funders and other community members. And we were able to actually construct and complete what we now call Copper Point Hall, which was the rest of this building. So what we're currently in, all the way to the L, the turf, right, the sport court, all of those. If you were here at that time, you remember all of those additions that took place, which then doubled our classroom size. Right? So we were able to go up to 16 classrooms at that point. And this, after our first year, this was our largest growth to date, and will likely be the largest growth that we'll ever have from one year to the next. Was that year 2 enrollment to that year 3. And that's when we had then 2 sections at every grade level, so bumped all the rest of them up. And we had that full K-5 elementary program. So again, I share a little bit of our history there to show that, again, this has been a very intentional start, right? And we've started small, we've grown it modestly, all with the intent of, again, being back towards that mission of knowing each and every child, helping them be ready for college, for a virtuous life, for leadership. So this is a foreshadowing to how we're going to continue to grow Maryville Prep. We're going to do it carefully, right? We're going to do it modestly, so that, again, we don't lose sight of our ability to have that direct impact on every child. Now, as we get more into kind of the next steps and the time it will take for us to get there, to like that ultimate grow out of the next campus, keep that in mind, that what this allows for us to do. And of course, then we'll talk about some of the limitations that take place when we don't start and add, for example, 500 new students instantly. The limitations that come from what we can do in terms of facilities and whatnot. But this gives us the right foundation. So let's talk a little about our future. So we're here in our 4th year, our current year. So as you all know, we started middle school this year, a very exciting endeavor. See some 6th grade parents out in the audience there. And we've still operated with the 16 classrooms that we had in place. So we had no new build going into this current year. Now, this is where one of the first questions came up. What about next, right? If you're a 6th grade parent in the room, I emailed you out and I said, don't worry, we have 7th grade. It was always part of the vision that we'd be able to do it here in Copper Point Hall on this campus. And so we are holding, again, our K-7 program here at Maryville Prep. Again, just a modest growth as we move everybody up and enroll two new kindergarten sections. Still operating with the 16 classrooms in place that we have here. And that'll put us sound and ready for next year. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about at the end about what that means for the program, right? So for 6th and 7th grade families in particular, what's kind of academically, schedule, classroom use, and things like that. But I want to kind of finish out kind of the future growth and then see what questions we have from there. So I have this note right here, which is that we are going to add 2 more modular or permanent classrooms as early as, and that's what I have here, this summer. Now let me tell you why. So there's actually some exciting updates, which is that we, as of yesterday, were given the green light from the Great Hearts Executive Board, which is, there's a Maryvale Prep Board, and then above all of the network is an executive board that makes all of the financial and real estate decisions for all the campuses. So if Anthem wants a new campus, Chandler wants, right, it goes through this committee. So we've had several meetings, and yesterday they did green light for us the purchase of land, our own land for Maryvale Prep, that we would then do a ground up build of our own campus. Now this is really exciting because that was not always considered what we could accomplish, right? In this sense, because of the small growth, right? And again, as you know, as a public school, our revenue is driven by essentially the number of students that we have. And so butting against that has been always our vision that we're doing this small, right? We're doing this modestly. We know that's going to then take time, right, to get to where we're going, but we are going to get there. And what everyone around is seeing is that we are on that path, right, to having that ultimate campus, that K-12 program that we all desire for our children, that we're all proud of. It's just going to take us the time to get there, but now they have green-lighted us. Instead of having to lease the next site, we're buying. We're buying land, and we're building it the school the way we think it should be built, right? Just exciting, right? So it's good. So that's good. So now to get there, here's the middle step that we're eliminating. That was always the plan, was to work towards a day when we could just have that land and build it the way we want. What we thought we were going to have to do is that for a few more years, we were going to have to take some of our students and go to another leased property, probably another church, and again, kind of do a similar thing where we're leasing, maybe building up a little bit, and then eventually be able to move everyone over. We're actually being able to accelerate that and eliminate the middle step and take a large portion of our student body over to this new the new campus. We're going to need, though, another year in there. And so I'll show you where that year lands. And that's why we need these additional classrooms. We actually, right now, the timeline is we're going to purchase the land by the end of this fall. And I'll show you some of the sites we're even already looking at, just a map. We're not going to get into too much real estate here today. But we're going to purchase it by the end of fall, and we're going to start both the capital campaign around it, like with the broader community, and the actual construction in January of 17. All for a fall 18, so an 18-month cycle opening of that campus. And that's why we'll have K-7 here next year, which was always part of the plan. We're going to need, and I'll show you why in a second, I'll show you where, 2 more classrooms to then have us be K-8 here on this campus, so that in the following year, fall of 2018, we're going to move, we're going to have 2 campuses, and we're going to move a large portion, and I'll talk about which grade levels, but certainly all of your kids, into that second campus. So right now, these modular or permanent campus, so I am still meeting with the church board, and so to determine the where on the campus, there's not a lot of room for additional classrooms to be placed, and of course to get the ultimate permission and approval, I should say, from them. Where what I'm bringing to them tonight is probably going to be our best option. This is our current campus. Okay, we're over here, right here, this art room. So this is the L right on the other side, right? This is the playground, envisioning that, and this is that fence area where we just put up all of the kind of the wood slats. So we are looking to add, if we can, 2 more permanent classrooms that are right here. Now, there's a couple challenges with it, and that's also why originally we didn't add them in the initial round. But there's some sewer and electrical lines I've been told that we're going to have to kind of move and work with, and because of like coding issues, we're not going to be able to connect it right up. These are all kind of logistical kind of challenges that we can meet. But the plan is that we would add these 2 rooms. There would be a connection piece, a sidewalk here that then they can use, which would allow us to then have, like I said, all the way up to K-8 on this campus. And then, once we move and we take what's likely going to be 4th grade and up, and maybe as young as 3rd grade and up, we would allow this entire campus to come down really to where its final home will be, is really a K2 or a K3 school. right here. So Copper Point campus, as we're often calling it, or the St. Paul campus, will be the feeder school for our larger prep school. And so again, we have a great 30-year lease, a great relationship with the church. We've of course put all this money in that we're still paying for all of these buildings, a lot of money across 30 years amortized, which means we can afford it somehow. But that's, we're not in any business of looking to abandon what we've already created, but it's going to be a really nice setup for K2, K3 school, and at that point it'll allow us to move back to really the traditional model, which is that we have an art room, right? We have a music room. What I'd like to even turn this into is a library, right? So we have all of those spaces that we want to create, which right now, because of this kind of growth plan, we're having to gobble up a bit, right, as we go, right? So last year, for example, our 2 6th grade rooms were Spanish rooms, right? This year I had to take them and make them 6th grade rooms, right? For 7th grades, this classroom we're in, by the way, is going to be the 6th and 7th grade science lab next year, right? So we're having to do a lot of just use of spaces that sort of allows us to keep the program going, but it makes it a little bit more challenging in terms of having all of those separate spaces to do that work and that curriculum to the level that we want. But just giving you kind of the long-term vision is that once we are able to move, and I'll talk more about prep campus, then this is still in full use. And so if you got little babies coming through or cousins or anything else, you'll still get a great start here. And again, thinking about that original mission, right? Knowing our children well, think about just that opportunity when there's just that K2, right, or K3 here, just starting out the foundation they'll get with a very loving staff, a very strong kind of team that's in place as they prepare and get ready for the next campus. So, just finishing out back to that same slide around our future. So I mentioned that the grade levels is still to be determined, and that might phase as well, but ultimately it looks like that we would start in that year. If you have a 6th grader now, this would be them once they're going into their high school years, which is also important too. That was I wanted to really push that we could, is that as our first graduating class of 2022, that their high school years would be on that new campus. So as 9th graders, they would enter that new campus, and we bring with them, right, at that point, the 4th through 9th grade, and then we would keep building it up again, one grade level at a time, so then eventually be 4 through 10, through 11, through 12. And then, like I said, probably eventually what we have is only K2 here, and on the new campus, 3rd through 12th grade. Now that new campus, we're looking right now for sites that are in the 8 to 10 acreage range. And what that allows us to do is not only from the kind of the full kind of Great Hearts experience, so from the gymnatorium, right, the gymnasium, cafeteria, that whole full use, the full football, soccer field layout, but also, of course, having a wing, right, so the 3rd through 5th or 6th graders will have kind of, their kind of classroom building, right, would be kind of the layout, and then our middle school and high school would have their setup as well. Somewhat similar to if you've been on any of the campuses like down to Chandler, they would have kind of the archway, right, and the prep on the same campus. A similar concept where we can have, again, a wider range of students, but also have them kind of have their separate quarters when they need them. I also like what we've been able to do here to that leadership point, the way in which our 6th graders this year have really been able to lead kindergartners or lead the lower school at times when we're having kind of special programs or even just their day-to-day. I think there's a lot of opportunity with them. They're in close proximity as well. But that all needs to be kind of scheduled and thought through very carefully as we do. All right, so with possible sites. So again, don't get excited or overly concerned if this is like far from home, but we've done a land survey. We've got a third party and a real estate group that we use across the network. We've done an initial land survey of what would fall within this, a couple of ranges. One is we are looking within a 3-mile radius of the current campus, right? We are going to have a lot of families at both, right? So we're currently here, right in the corner of that golf course, right? And so we're looking at, like I said, in a 3-mile radius, but also that has that 8 to 10 acres of land that we can build upon. There are other restrictions as well because it's a school, so it's like proximity to like liquor stores and things like that we have to watch out. You want more proximity, by the way, on that. So just keep that in mind. But there's definitely, so these squares represent possible pockets, and we're gonna be in over the summer narrowing down them even more so in terms of their viability for us. But these are some of the areas we're looking. So definitely you see along the kind of McDowell kind of corridor, some more, sites, and then a few, if you're looking at the streets, this is Camelback up here. This is starting to get pretty far up, kind of already into the Glendale area, so this is, in my opinion, kind of the highest that we're looking, the most north that we're looking at it. But anyway, those are some possible sites. There may not be all of them. We've gone through, a good like a stack of, again, like 80 submissions and things. So, but these ones have the most potential right now in terms of locations. Let me pause there. I'm going to get into like program notes about next year and whatnot, and then answer those type of questions. But in terms of the history, the future, campus sites, if you all want to vote for a number, I'll let the team know if they want to. So, but yeah, let me pause there and see what questions we have or comments for the group.
Okay, I'm understanding that, we're at 6 right now. I haven't been here in a year, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're
Keep
doing
track.
6 we got here right now, so 16, 17 would be 7.
That's right, next year?
17, 18 would be 8 on this campus.
That's right, yeah.
And then 18, 19, by that time
That's
you're
what
figuring you'd have new, and who would go there?
It's looking like 4th through 9th grade.
Oh, so you're gonna move everybody, so it's not gonna be like you're just gonna build a classroom or so to make sure 10th grade gets in there
Right.
and stuff. So Haley being now she'll be a 4th next year. Yeah, 4th.
So she'd be part of the group that moves.
So she would move to wherever the new one is. And
That's
then where was the street side? I mean, you showed where we were and then you said McDowell, Camelback, and then some,
Yeah.
but what are we talking
we're-
about? 75th, 83rd?
Yeah, so this is us, so that's 67th right here. This
Okay.
is 75th.
Okay, so
You can see.
it could be,
So it's a little further west, right, with some of those sites.
okay, so most of them are going to be west, not east of the school, you hope. I would think west would be, because it's always more traffic east than there is west.
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely
that's
people
much-
say,
much
hey,
very
near the
coming
time,
from
great,
Sun
it's
City.
nice and easy, drop off, so, but yeah, these are the current sites, again, this might not be the ultimate home.
Yeah, and there you might find something else, too,
Yeah.
with that. What are these sites? I mean, I'm trying to figure like 83rd and Camelback, I'm trying to
Yeah.
picture where's their
If you
land?
drove by, they're like, it's just dirt, like for most of it, I don't know if any of them really have much where we'd be demoing, so a lot of it's just to get that land, it's just some dirt that's out there, so, yeah.
Isn't there like a big, like, range of how much it costs to, like, as far as the land?
Yeah,
Because I was looking and there's like, the further you get closer to where there's more stores and stuff, the more expensive they got. it
Right,
seemed
right.
like. And we live right now, like on 79th and down.
alright, so you're going
Yeah.
here, okay?
And
Right.
As much as I'd like to have the school close by,
Yeah,
like our area is like every night there's helicopters.
I'm going north of that. Let's go back to California.
Yeah, I was gonna say that right here.
I like the further one.
I think the more north you go, the better off you probably are.
Yeah, and it's 5 minutes.
yeah. No, I know those are, it's all considerations,
Yeah.
around that, and there's a lot of schools there, and we're gonna do a lot of, again, more homework on that. So we, part of it is, again, we intentionally want to be here. We want to be in west, central Phoenix, and so, in the Maryville community. So we're gonna find it, and we're gonna take the necessary precautions, right, to build the school where it should be, so. But, yeah, others.
You said that it was gonna be up to 9th grade, so does that mean that you're gonna be doing the same thing that you're doing here, like each year building for 10th grade and 11th grade eventually?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So when we move this group, this 4th through 9th grade group, again, we're actually, this campus, we're gonna be staggering the build as well. And so when we first move these students, we're looking at, and this is what we need to still build out that plan, probably in 3, if not 4 stages of the build. So we'll have the classrooms for these students. They may not have all of the classrooms yet when we get there, but it's likely that in terms of some of the other kind of additional components, namely probably the field, the gymnasium, a lot of it's going to depend on, again, that capital campaign that we run. how much we can bring up front and put in versus how much that we need to then get either bonds or loans on it and just essentially pay through the years. But we're looking at still an accelerated cycle around that with kind of the full build out of that new campus. And so obviously we're going to start that building in 17 for this first phase. So that's all ready for these kids to move in. So we'll be able to take, pop over and see it or drive by and see that the progress is happening for this move, and that's going to happen. But then in terms of the next phases of that campus, that's what we're looking to do, and usually those will happen in 1 to 2 year cycles. So kind of finish that one, at the same time we're kind of fundraising, putting together the next part of the campus. So as the kids have experience, as you all have experience with us, we'll continue to grow. Honestly, we'll grow, from humble beginnings and to that ultimate campus that we will have. So
Where are you planning to stop taking students? I mean, what are you talking about taking in the end? Are you talking about ending up being as big as a public school? Or, like the first, like you said, there was like 200 and some or 100 and some students the first year when kindergarten, when Haley started, and then it just seemed to skyrocket. Now it's crazy turning. Thank goodness I moved to Sun City. They don't ask me to pick her up anymore. So.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a good question of our ultimate growth. So we're up to 2 sections now. Our standard model is throughout the network is 3 to 4 sections, right, in grade levels. And typically what we do is it's a little actually backwards from a lot of, if you compare to districts, where by now in Phoenix we have a lot of large public high schools.
Right.
So Maryville I think is 3,000. Do you know? It's like
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yes.
And I think Trevor is at least that.
Yeah, and so whereas our high schools they get larger, but usually like the grades themselves, 9th through 12th grade, are usually in the like 600 to 700 range, and that's kind of where we're looking. So
Okay,
we got a middle school to that, that's again around 2 to 300. So usually our prep campuses that are 6th through 12th grade at this point are just a little bit over 1,000. So
And are they also very thinking about the picking up and parking lot even for high school? Because when you go to Maryvale or Trevor Brown and you see, and I know there's a lot of students there, but there's still a lot of parents that pick them up, even though there's 1,000 of them walking, there's another 1,000 parents picking up another 1,000.
we'll have to do all that work, a lot of figuring out
Thinking that.
where we land and what you can do with the traffic patterns and
Well,
whatnot.
it might be a nice idea to look at some place that isn't on a major road.
We just take the city's frontage road like we did.
Yeah, there you go. I know.
Just make do what we can. So yes.
When did you say the site will be picked?
So by the end of the summer.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is, okay.
That's right. So again, there's gonna be a narrowing in process that may or not include more of these sites. And then again, it's just all kind of the paperwork and purchasing from there.
When the land is purchased, would you guys let us know
Where?
where?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll probably have a picture. It'll just be me and Turner.
Yeah, send that to the email.
Maryville prep, yeah, because they'll be empty for a little while, but yeah, we should do something, throw a party there, and then we'll start building. I'll get a shovel, right? But yeah, we'll have it for several months before that we actually break ground. But can let you know. So you start getting used to your driving patterns.
Yes.
What are we gonna need to do to get there? So yeah. Well, let me talk a little bit just about next year as we kind of prepare. So if you're in the room and you have currently 5th or 6th graders, rising 6th and 7th graders, they're gonna be our middle schoolers here on this campus next year. So one thing that we ran into, if I've got 6th grade parents in the room, storage. Storage was fun this year, like where backpacks go and moving up, and middle school level books as well are a little bit heavy. So we made some adjustments throughout the year. I have been able to get approval and the financing behind. We are purchasing lockers for next year on this campus. So the word's starting to spread with some of the 6th graders. I don't know, I think Laura said like, I'm so excited, I can't believe it. I was like, okay, it's lockers, calm down. So I told them there's not a lot of space, we're doing triple tier, okay? We've already measured it, people can reach the top one, some will have to go to the bottom, but we'll have lockers as part of the storage, and that'll be used by 6th and 7th grade next year. So during the first week of school, we do an extensive middle school orientation for students, and so we'll go through things like how we study to all of how do we open a locker. right? So you'll help us out because there's some that'll just spin that thing, I can't do it. Yeah. And I know I'm sure I'll have to cut 1 or 2 locks by the end of the year by those bolt cutters. So they better remember their code. All right. So if you are new to middle school, so the middle school schedule is a little bit different than the K-5 schedule. So the school day is 8 to 3, and so they begin an hour earlier. There are 6 periods in the day that are 55 minutes in length, and they have, in those cases, there are 6 different teachers. So there is a transition that takes place from what we're used to in terms of a primary homeroom teacher, right? That's in place. Although the kids here are used to more of that kind of more adults leading them because they have the specials, right? And they're used to that. They have the TAs that are also supporting. But there is a transition certainly in kind of the leadership that's happening across with multiple teachers. We place more and more responsibility on students in terms of their kind of academic progress and needs. And so families in the room that knows we have a morning tutoring program. The way that works is teachers have set days that they're available. So it might be Miss Sterling for science on Monday and Friday. And the kids will have a schedule and they're supposed to be like, I need to be there Monday at 7:15 because I need help with this, this life science unit. So that's when that support is provided, and they need to be reaching out and letting you know that that's a need before school. During the day, we have a program that we call Lyceum. It's right before their lunch. Lyceum just comes from kind of the ancient Greeks, where it was actually a place where they would gather and talk about ideas on life and really just have a lot of intellectual fervor and fellowship time. We use it in a sense to provide some additional components of our liberal arts program. And so there's different groups that the students are in, different teams or houses, if you would, and they go through different kind of leaders. We have Mr. Cruz, for example, has been with a drama background. He's been doing a drama club as part of it, so learning the arts, right, of how to present and be the dramatic arts, if you would. There's a leadership club where they've done seminars on various topics, and then also created different projects that they've enacted on the campus, everything from like campus cleanup to like kindergarten tutoring and support, as well as there's kind of a physical, like we call it energia from the Greek for energy. There's a kind of a learning of the body and the muscle groups and physical movement that happens. So that's during the day, and also you're aware, you probably have seen an email or 2 from me if you're a 6th grade parent. On Fridays, we gather all the middle school together, and various teachers and administrators take turns delivering talks, almost like you would see like a college level lecture on various topics. And so we've given ones from everything from integrity to friendship to social media and its use and misuse. And so there's a lot of things that we're guiding the children through in those times. After school, so you're aware, after this 3 o'clock, in addition to the athletics program that's still in full force and will be next year, Go Matadors, we've got study hall for the first half an hour from 3 to 3:30. So students stay, if they're not picked up at that time, they stay and just get right going on their homework. It's been a really effective piece of data this year. From 3:30 to 4, there's a leadership club that's led by Mr. Cruz. Again, various seminars and topics and projects that are done at that time. And if they're still here, we still allow them to be here till 5. And that's part of the full tuition-free program. In the enrichment hour, various teachers lead. There's activities from chess to like they're playing kickball outside, just more activities for them to engage together. The last thing that I want to mention and see if there's any other questions about the program here is, again, this parent-teacher communication, just something to be ready for. I know some of our 6th grade parents would just do as well, whereas before, again, you had kind of that one-stop email to the homeroom teacher, how is my child doing across the board? Whereas now you have a team of teachers that are supporting your student. And so we still do things like our conferences are all together. It's like a committee of teachers will meet with you. And we'll still do phone calls as we do quarterly, but those will be done like each teacher will take a group of them and connect first and then reach out on behalf of the team. But realize that you'll have to narrow in a little bit more if there's challenges in mathematics or in physical science for 7th graders next year. You have to narrow in where the challenges are and reach out to the teachers in terms of if you need some more information or guidance there. And so there is more of a responsibility from you all as well to make sure that you're staying in contact as well. And our teachers will, through, of course, through formal means, and as needs arise, communicate out to you as well. So it's gonna be a great year. We already have essentially the middle school program built out for the sixth graders, and we've seen a lot of success from it. So we're essentially adding in the rising sixth graders now, and so that schedule will look very much the same. And they'll, for the most part, have a very distinct program from the K-5 school here, while they're kind of coexisting amongst them at various points through intentional programs. All right. Any questions on that?
You said
program
that
for next
starts at sixth grade.
year? Yes, so everything I just
So-
described is
So
the
your middle school
program.
is sixth grade, not fifth and not seventh.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
then
sixth
you-
and seventh, yeah.
You said study hall and enrichment were after
After
school things, and the other two are like during school
Yeah.
time, but
This is before school, this is right before lunch,
that's,
and then these are after school.
so is it part of lunch, the first one, or is it just is it like, do they do this every day, or is it like, we go
They
to
do.
this day, or? and we
Yeah,
go
except
to-
for the early releases, they do, so they have a half an hour before lunch and then they have a half an hour lunch, so that hour.
Oh, okay, so they have like a half
is-
an hour,
is
and then when
taken
is
by that.
the enrichment hour, did you say?
This is the 4 to 5, right after pickup.
Okay, so
it's
that's
actually
after, so
4:15.
that's, and then the leadership club is the other one that's done actually during school, and when is that done?
This is 3 to 3:30, 3:30 to 4, and then 4 to 5. So if they stay for the
Oh.
2 hours after school, those are the 3 kind of programs.
Okay, so only the one is actually during school time,
That's right.
the one I can't see.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So, yes?
Do you know if they would hire another administrator for the upper grades, or is that something you would want to do?
Yeah.
Go do it?
Yeah. Figure out where, so yes is the
Right, I did
answer.
that.
Of course, you got me thinking already about, like, it's gonna be hard, I'm still working on the cloning thing to be in both places. Yes, so there's going to be local leadership on both campuses. So
Okay.
certainly once we split, there will be, whether it's entitled a headmaster at both or an assistant headmaster, they will have, a decision maker, kind of a leadership in place, a leadership team really at both. I'll need to determine with those that help me make those decisions about where I'm best placed. Likely, I'll tell you as my commitment is 2022 and beyond. So that I tell everybody in Grey Arts, I'm the only one with a 20-year contract, so please let me keep going. But I will likely continue with the upper school to just keep building that out each grade level, but obviously still play a heavy role in guiding kind of the feeder school, if you would, our K2, K3 here. But we will have, again, leadership on both campuses, so as a parent, you know who to go to, for those things, if there's a need down here or a need up the other school. Yes.
For our seventh graders,
Yes.
is there gonna be like programs coming up? I know I was told from like someone else, well, it makes sense. That's who I got referred to.
Yeah.
So they have like programs at ASU for starting from seventh grade and up. I'm not sure how it works. I think she just does it on her own. But is there any other kind of programs that's gonna be involved like from here?
Yeah.
Maybe not specifically at ASU, but just
Right.
something that kind of helps them learn more about the college or maybe, I don't know, some
Yeah.
other kind of programs.
Like
Yeah,
the ACE
yeah.
Plus program, are you talking about, and maybe the ACE Plus program that's in high schools, or?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not familiar with any other
Yeah.
programs. I know there are programs, but I'm not familiar with any of those.
Yeah, and I know that each school has kind of some different kind of
Right.
partnerships and programs in place. We are looking at that. I mean, a lot of that we start in our work especially in high school, around when it's more going toward like the college, kind of counseling and that piece. Obviously, we're doing college readiness work all throughout. But no, it is something that we're definitely looking at, even from kind of the social end, the relationship end. What kind of events that we can run that are middle school specific. And so, a lot of what we're doing is, as we always do, is connect with leadership from around the network and what are you doing that works really well at middle school to build the type of friendships, that we're aspiring to, but give them some additional enjoyment and opportunity, through their experience. So definitely looking to do more of that in the way of programs, events, trips, etc. So
Will they split, like when you get in high school, you have like honor programs and stuff like that, or is that not part of the goal of?
no, so the
Great
whole
arts.
the whole curriculum is built on an honors level rigor. So, yeah, so
So
all the way through, it's the same courses.
Okay.
The only.
So you don't split kids, like they don't
We
get
don't
to take
track,
honors
no.
classes or?
No, they all can do it. Yeah, so they all can. They all take calculus. They will all write a senior thesis and defend it before a panel of teachers. It's a rigorous program, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of commitment, from all of us. But they all can do it.
And are we doing anything with the technology? Have we changed our minds a little bit about that, or
We
have we
changed.
not?
Okay, you're gonna be.
I remember it was a big thing.
Yeah.
Kindergarten first that we talked
Yeah.
about.
No, we use technology carefully. I always use that as kind of like our description. Again, it doesn't take the place of, for example, some things that are fundamental to we believe the work,
Right,
like a book, right?
right,
You'll
yeah,
never
no,
see
yeah,
kids with
reading like that,
iPads
no,
and-
but
and
I mean,
stuff.
actually, a lot of kids still, especially in Maryville, do not have access to computers, do not have them in their homes, and they're not going to be able to go out in the world or go to college. When you go to college, you have to have everything is done on a computer.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'm, you know, they
there's
need to-
there's levels at which so we're already doing, for example, like computer-based testing. We started that early.
Right,
with a lot
that's
of our
what I,
sister
what, that's what
academies.
my
We've done
granddaughter was
keyboarding
saying.
classes. We actually implemented a computer club this year. So if your kids are here in the morning, it rotates, but two days a week, their grade level is on, and we've done math adaptive software, so it kind of works with them on their ability level. And so we'll continue to bring in that.
Well, like you're
carefully.
saying, the theses and stuff like that, are they gonna be allowed to do that on the
Yeah,
computer?
yeah,
Because that's where they're gonna do it in college.
Yeah,
Nobody's
yeah.
gonna take a handwritten anything in
Yeah.
college now.
Yeah, so just think about the technology helps support kind of the skills and the thinking that they
Right.
need. It doesn't drive. It doesn't drive. the
And I know
curriculum.
what you mean, but it does kind of drive the world in this
Yeah,
city, so.
they will be familiar with it. We'll make sure they are.
Great, okay.
Yeah, so, all right, well, stick around for a couple last weeks. We're at our time, but I really appreciate you joining us. We're excited for the journey ahead. Thank you for coming out and committing to the years with us. So